Hello everybody. In this video, we're going to explore the topic of how well would Lystrosaurus do in today's times. But before I begin, I want to say, that if you like the content I generally produce, you might want to like and subscribe. With that out of the way, let's begin. So first of all, we'll need to know what this prehistoric animal was. Lystrosaurus was a non-mammalian herbivorous therapsid which lived back during the late Permian and the early Triassic periods. It had only two tusk-like teeth and a small beak, and after the late Permian-Triassic mass extinction event, it was a very successful animal in the niches it had occupied back then, that is, consuming plant matter. It lived mostly in what is today in Africa, but its fossils can also be found in parts of Russia, Antarctica, India, etc. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to put it only in southern and eastern Africa, the places it lived on this continent. And for the sake of this video, we're going to experiment with larger specimens of the larger species among this family. So, the first two things these animals were going to notice would be the differences in temperatures and the oxygen levels. They would likely do just fine with the temperatures, considering it is very warm in southern Africa, as high as 29 degrees Celsius as I am making this video, and the higher oxygen levels would likely help them at first, though it would most likely have long-term consequences on the Lystrosaurus populations. These ancient animals had a more mammalian-like position of the legs, rather than that of reptiles, which would mean it would be easier for them to escape potential predators. Also, the grasses and the other plants of their time were less nutritious, so the addition of modern-day plants to their herbivorous diet would do them a very, very good job. Consequences that might result in this would likely, combined with the highly increased oxygen levels, provide them with much more energy than they would usually have, as well as even potentially growing larger and larger because of either one or both of these factors. Lystrosauruses are also thought of to have been close to warm-blooded, so in case a sudden climate disaster happens in Africa, they would likely be able to adapt to these circumstances and survive. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Due to their sizes, they would become a common target for African predators, such as lions, hyenas, and other, possibly even some humans from time to time, and provided the fact that they laid eggs means that it would be even harder for them, since they would also have to look out for their eggs. Another factor that might be important in determining how well they would do, is the illnesses. Since viruses are, at least for the most part, highly specialized in infecting a certain type of animal, they would not pose a very big problem to the Lystrosaurus populations, at least for the first years after their arrival. But sadly, bacteria would likely infect and affect them too, causing them even more hardships with maintaining a stable population number. And lastly, just as with many animals, if they were to be brought back today, poachers would be a problem for them. Because of their two tusk-like teeth, poachers would likely just kill them so they could take these ancient modern-day artifacts. Plus, that would be an even bigger problem for these animals, since Africa is full of animals that are endangered by poachers and poachings, such as elephants and rhinos, meaning they would likely attract even more attention, and for all these reasons, I'm putting the Lystrosaurus a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 on the survivability scale from 1 to 10, but wait, I'm still not finished yet. Lastly, this time for real, I want to explore a few possibilities of how the Lystrosaurus might adapt and diversify. My first guess is that some of them would grow larger, possibly to the extent of a rhino or slightly larger. Other might adapt to become cold-blooded again, so they would have to consume less food. That would likely be due to pressure from competitors, such as the previously mentioned elephants and rhinos. And even though there are many possibilities, there's just one that I would be willing to bet more than 100 lefs on. Due to pressure from poachers, the Lystrosaurus would likely lose their teeth. In fact, there's some evidence for that. A similar thing is happening to many populations of elephants in Africa, which are adapting to not possess any tusks due to poaching activities. But also, due to the appearance of new predators, it might be possible that some Lystosauruses would migrate towards other places, like the Middle East for example, where they would not only deal with far less predators than they would in Africa, but they would also deal with far less competition, along with the ability to grow even larger more easily. But hey, that's just a speculation, an Orthosaurus speculation. Thanks for watching.
Alleluia,